Okay, well, this is Brian, or Quirt, or Mithar, or Zen, or however you may know me on the internet. And I am in fabulous Las Vegas for SOE Live. I finally arrived, and as you can see around the room here, I'm staying at Planet Hollywood. Got a nice two-bed place. Got a nice setup. And as you see on the wall, there's some movie memorabilia. Enter the Dragon, one of the costumes. I'm gonna glare. Can't really see. Some movie posters and some stills over here. But by far, what I think is the best feature has to be here in the bathroom. You got a separate shower, and look at that tub.
Buy some booze for Keegan Ruffin's room. I have to go with some cash. I'll have to get more cash at one point.
So I apologize for my voice. It's going to go in and out, so I'll try to make sure I speak loudly as possible for this. But the way we're going to do this panel, as we don't really have a general Q&A, I'm going to go fairly quickly through a couple of slides about what we've done over the last several months since the last SOE Live, what we're currently working on, and what you look forward to in the future of Vanguard. I'm going to start with introductions. My name is Harvey Ratiz Burgess. I'm the producer of Vanguard. Been on almost a year now, and I'll let these guys introduce themselves, and then we'll just go ahead and get started. And after we're done with the actual slides, we'll just open it up to general questions. So I don't think you'll need to line up or anything, just a simple hand raise and we'll just talk. So, that said, let's start.
Corey the Fever, also known as Safos on the forums. Here, let us know.
Will Bitterman, known as Wigan on the forums.
Tim Lochner, T-Lock, I'm the programmer.
Nice.
We have Hobart too. He's not going to this panel.
No. Hobart's he's roaming right now. He's also, we've got a couple of members on the team that couldn't make it out, but definitely they wish they could be here with us today to meet all of you. But let's get started. So, what we've accomplished since October. Basically, we've decided to continue making content, as all of you know. The first thing we released in November was City of Brass. It was something to whet the appetite of all of our higher level people. We understand that there's a lot of you out there that for years you didn't have anything. So we definitely wanted to make an effort to providing something quickly out there before the end of the year for you guys. With that, afterwards we started focusing on cleaning up, I should say, some of the older original content. We all know Vanguard launched with some issues, and as we've been getting new players into the game, we really need to focus on making sure they have a quality experience as well. We know about all the bugs that people have had to go through and the workarounds that you had to suffer through, and what we really want to do is clean that up and make sure that when people come into the game and start playing, they really see what Vanguard is before they decide to quit. So with that, we revamped Loamshire Plains, and the Hag's Coastline. We went in, we revised a lot of the quests. Instead of having just the random kill quests, we added really polished themes to the area, and hopefully we'll be continuing to do that as we go. After that, Old Targanor, we started going through and figuring out, okay, where are the holes? Where are the gaps? Where are we having the most players get frustrated with? And we saw that there was a real need for content post Swamp Gear. So it's something that we started looking at. We went through, figured out an area we really wanted to work on, something that would provide players with the gear, the actual content to get them familiar with raid style mechanics, because after you're through 53 to 55, I mean that's what the end game is in Vanguard. So with that, you know, the latest thing we were able to put out was Felgerholm. I've been playing the game, and as well as these guys, I will say I am still only level 43, but I believe in October, I think I was like 22. So it's taken me some time, but I've really been playing the game. And something that we did notice were areas that just were missing content and just void. So we're going through and really adding to the world of Vanguard. And basically you see there, we've hit pretty much all aspects of life in the adventuring spheres there. There were a couple of crafting items that we added, as well as civics, but that was really mainly the adventuring aspect, because at this point, and I'm actually kind of skipping the next two items, but it was really about gathering knowledge. The team had been going through a lot of transition. We had lost some people, gained some new people, and it was really about gaining the information that we need to actually do an adequate job providing gameplay for you guys. And that's as brutally honest as I can make it. We needed to know the game inside and out before we were able to actually do things for you. And I do feel as though we are at a point there, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But with that said, we also provided the network layer revamp, which was a step in the direction that I was just talking about, with knowing where the problem areas are. Up until that point, we really didn't have any kind of logging to see where lag-related issues were. So with that, we're able to actually track what abilities, raid mechanics, what zone variables, just all kinds of things that cause issues, we're able to go in and fix. And yes, this is going to take a bit longer for us to get to those things, but now we know. Now we're able to actually go in and make those changes to those events. And as you can see, with some of the events, we've actually gone through and done that. So expect a lot more of that in the future, as well as fixing bugs. There are bugs in Vanguard. There are bugs. I will be the first to admit, there are bugs, and those are the things that we don't want to continue to do. If you can go to the next slide. So, with what I've mentioned already, talking about bugs, we've gotten to a point, and it was kind of protocol in the team where we were trying to figure out, okay, well, this event we need to make, but these are the obstacles in creating this encounter. What do we do? Well, we can work around this by doing X, Y, and Z. That's done. There's no more workarounds. We're going through. We're going to fix the underlying issues. There will be some growing pains with that. I'll say right now, the run speed changes didn't go according to plan.
Don't get married.
Was that the programmer's problem?
Without saying anything else about it,
Is that why you didn't get a shirt?
some things went out that we weren't really ready to go out, and but going forward, as you've been able to see, we're comfortable with making changes now. It's something that we will start bringing up on the forums and in my producer's letters to you guys. It's just going to be this open communication. And yes, we're all passionate. I mean, I'm fine with you guys telling us that's the stupidest idea in the world. But I'd love to hear what kind of ideas you guys have to make it work. We all know problems with EEs and stat caps and abilities not stacking. We want to fix that stuff. We have more information on the back end about how some of that stuff works, and some of it is really wonky, but we're going through and making those changes to make that stuff work. That's something we are looking at long term. We're going to be here. Our team's stabilized. We're not looking at losing anybody. We might actually even be gaining people. The artist that we just gained, she's new to the team, and I'll actually be showing you some of the stuff that she's been working on as of late. But yeah, we're dedicated, we're focused, and this is something you can count on being here for years to come. So yeah.
The little game that could.
The little game that could.
That's right.
So going through, we've already started posting on the forums with the ability stacking changes that we're proposing right now. We're also talking about the run speed changes, which you want.
Do you want me to comment on
We would have beat him, but we couldn't catch him.
We're at 60%.
60.88.
So, I'll tell you guys here first, we will be making some more changes to that. We did want to see how it actually worked within the system, but we will be changing it, and you will be running faster again. It'll actually be more around where they were before. So, especially mounted, by the way. Especially mounted. So, yes. We're gonna continue to fix the long-standing bugs. We've been looking into issues with the Griffin Quest. I know that's something that's very popular in Vanguard. It's something that we obviously want to make work from beginning to end and things like that. So it's definitely something that we are a small development team, and there are a lot of things we're really trying to do. And I think you'll be pleased with some of the stuff that we end up working on in the next couple of months. And regarding fixing bugs, and it goes hand in hand with the fact that with the Griffin Quest, what we need from you guys, as I haven't been on the team a year, and I've got my own list of bugs and issues that I've faced, but I mean, I don't know, I haven't played all the different classes in the game. So I mean, if there are things that have been in the game from the beginning, please feel free to make a list. I know there's one on the forums right now that we've actually been going through and making those fixes. This is something we want to make as beautiful and as polished as possible. And if you can just provide us with those. I know it's frustrating at times that you've said this to people in the past, but I'm really working towards making it something that you can depend on us for. Something that when you respond and say, hey, this is broken, it's something that we go in and really fix. So,
Well, when you guys came on, it's not like you had an instruction manual that says, you know, F1 goes to this and it causes this. You had to interpret what everything was at first in order to go in and fix it, correct? So it's not like you can just go in
And
just
then
say,
some.
okay, now run speed. And you're like, crap, now this broke. You know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's actually been something, another thing that we were doing is, especially with the artist who was with us, before he handed it off to the artist we have now, his big thing was documenting what the pipeline is, how things work and stuff like that. And it's another thing we're going through with design. We kind of can't rely on old design docs anymore because they're either outdated or whatnot. So we're going through and we're basically writing design reports, which is like exactly how does this system work so that we can have an intense knowledge of it, so that we can make really informed decisions about how to affect the game.
Like you said, you know, you gotta play it and see how it works in order for you to fix it.
Your slide has /bug on it.
How did you see that?
Wanting to address that?
So that was a reminder that we'll actually be adding commands in game to make it easier in syntax, so that you understand the difference. And I believe I touched on this in my producer's letter between the various forms of communication with us and CS and where to post things, because that can also be confusing. So hopefully everyone within the next couple of weeks will have an understanding of where that information flows to and the easiest way to get it communicated. So yeah, next slide. Let's talk about where we're going. So these are a couple of items that I wanted to post and just show you what we're looking at doing in the next several months here. I know we've mentioned Cave of Wonders to you guys. That'll be the next area we're working on. We decided to finish, instead of starting something again and going back and forth, we've decided to just finish that whole theme, or it's not theme, it's the story arc of the area. So that's something we're really going to work on next. We've actually started on it already, and you guys should be happy with the results of that. That's something that we should have, I believe, and I'm saying it here, so you guys are screwed either way. That should be end of September or early October that you'll be getting Cave of Wonders. With that, I know Corey has been talking to you guys about continental effects, and with that, our crafting system, the way it is, takes anywhere between 10 minutes and 30 minutes to create a single recipe.
Just one permutation.
That's, yes. And that doesn't work when we're such a small development team. So we're trying to do stuff on the back end. And this will take some of Tim's time to make a system in which we can provide you guys with the same components and the same complexity that you have now, but actually know what you're going to create instead of trial and error and that. So if you use
Oh, the trial and error is the best part. Hey, look, this like sucks.
Yeah.
That's not what I want.
Well, you'll still have, I mean, if you've never created it, you won't know exactly what your stats are going to be with the item. But you'll have a general idea instead of, oh, this and this item created plus to frost, and this one's arcane. Why is the same thing doing different things? That's something we're really trying to change.
So should we like it that way, so only the old veterans?
Oh.
That's why I'm level 55 arty and I only make bricks.
Yeah.
Only the blessed lunatics among us can understand it.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff. That's some of the stuff we're trying to make easier for people coming in. That's kind of the core essence behind like the ability stacking. how would you ever know how everything stacks unless you just cast everything on yourselves and then count your buffs to see, all right, am I missing one? That doesn't work for us. We really want you to know, okay, these are the best for this situation, and we know that because we understand the way the system works. It's just the extra added struggles that you guys have when doing things that we're trying to address. And that goes the same with the run speed changes and the stack caps. When we do these basic changes, it'll allow us to provide better and quicker benefits to you guys. Our stacking system is very complex. I actually had these guys take me through it since I had never actually created an ability in the game, and after my eyes rolled around in my head seeing what they had to work with there, built upon fix on top of fix on top of fix, we knew we needed to do something about that. And like we've said on the forums, the jury's still out. We have not decided definitively on a set system. And like I said on the forums, it could be something that any of you guys come up with. There have been some definite good ideas on the forums that we've had to go back and say, well, is this really how we want this to work or not? And I think that communication's great for the game in the long haul. So that's something I definitely like to praise you guys who post and those who just have come up to us and sent us ideas on things like that via email or communication here at the show so far. Pancor Z, that's something that we've mentioned before. There are a lot of issues with the geometry in that area and the pathing, and after we really started looking at it, it's going to take us a while. It's definitely going to be something that we're continuing to work on, but it's longer term. And I was hoping I'd have better news for you about that, but currently we don't. With the crafting revamp, we'll also be posting on the forums like we've been doing with all of the other systems to get your ideas and your interactions on what we're proposing with that. So I think that's it in a nutshell. And like I said, I was going to go through this a little faster so we'd have time for everyone to discuss with us various issues. So thanks for your time, and I'm going to open it. Oh, actually,
We have pictures.
I've got more to share, and these are just a couple of different things that we've been working on. So we're starting to make plushies. There's
That's wormy.
that's wormy. You've got to have wormy out there. So yeah, these are the types of things you'll start to see in game fairly soon. We also have the weapons that I showed you guys, I believe, in a producer's letter earlier in the year. We're also having banners. So an idea we really want to push is the fact that you guys, we've got this great system of housing and the camaraderie that we have when creating things like that. I mean, if you have a house, you know how much effort you put into making that, and that's something we really want to bring out and provide you guys with things that say, hey, this is mine, this is my part of the world, and this is something I want to share with other people. So we'll be doing banners for your homes and for your guilds, so that you have something to distinguish yourself from others in the game. And last but not least, how did that get in there? So this is something that we wanted to do that we didn't have a chance to do late last year, but we have a picture from SOE Live in October, and we created it, and it's a housing item. So for the people who were here last year, we'll be sending that to you. And with that said, this year we don't have a time set as of yet, but we'll be going to the green screen and taking another one of all of you here who want to be in
Oh, sweet.
a housing item for Vanguard. So that's a little added gift that we wanted to give you guys.
I am internationally famous.
Now, I do have that sign on the wall in our new gaming area of the house.
So good. So with that said, we're done now, and please feel free to raise your hand. And
So, the first thing I want to say is I want to thank you guys. I mean, the live press this morning was awesome, and the addition of that this year for us is great. It was a lot of fun. I know you guys worked really hard, and I know that sometimes people give you a really hard time on the forums.
Right.
That's great.
I hate you all.
Of course, I send you emails, help me, or I'm going to kill somebody. So, but thank you. I mean, I know you guys take a beating on the forums, and
Well, I mean,
we're appreciated.
Yeah, it comes from a place of passion, right? I mean, the alternative is that people just quietly go away or stew about things silently. We'd really rather hear.
So, I'll ask one, and then I have a ton. As everybody knows, I got chewed out on the forum several
One
times.
at a time for 10.
Bite me.
No cookies for Lee.
Yeah, no cookies for Lee. Crafting and station cash store.
What specifically?
So, it seems that the station cash store has
Overlap.
almost,
Wipe it out.
wiped out, decimated the crafting.
Bags, ships.
I can
items.
take an alt, I can take my 55 Sork out, kite, get boxes, I can't get for some reason. I'm talking to one of you, I'm sure it's your fault. But I can open those boxes and I can get better gear than I can have him craft for me. And I think that's really taken away, why crafting frustrates me. We have people in here who really love it, and I think they may not like the raiding or the adventuring, but I think they would play if nothing more than the crafting.
If I can jump in for a second, I know you want to share a little bit. Yes, I know you've got crafting on your list of things to read that, but I'm pleased to hear that. What Tink's saying though, the issue, I have 5 crafters. My lowest one is level 48, the rest of them are level 50 to 55. The issue I see constantly is that there's no need to craft, particularly at the top end. If everything you can get from either a box in KTQ or a box from something from the lock boxes or just from raiding is so far superior to anything I craft. Or I can go on the station cash store and buy all the other stuff that I craft. It would be great to see something like having organ slots be craftable here, so you can make a masterwork item and then add an efforts, a primal, and a rune slot to that masterwork gear by crafting. Even if it took going to an endgame dungeon or doing a raid to get one of the components to do that, it would just mean that you can craft gear that starts to become on par to the stuff that you get dropped out of a box.
So we really want to revamp the crafting system to be able to do just that. Right now, to create a recipe is a ton of grunt work. So what we want to be able to do is, instead of having to create a huge new recipe for every time we want to give you a new crafted item, we can create one recipe that says it takes this item, this item, this item, and this item. And those items have individual properties. And then we just have to drop one new item. And if your sword was going to go from 15 strength to 25 strength, we can just drop the one new 25 strength item, and it's now usable in the old recipe. So instead of a huge time sink for every new crafting gear to really do what the crafting system is, which is customized, we can do it by adding individual components to it, which allows you to still create the very dynamic and huge amount of items, but for us, it's very easy to do, and it's very controlled. So the big thing about being able to give the new crafting system life and able to drop things that maybe in a raid you'll get a really nice dust, you can now take that and make it really good on par with raiding, or great item, because it has to take 2 spheres. You had to raid to get the item, but you get to use it in your recipe. So if you want some really good things and unique things, we can do that after we've made it, so that we can give you the recipe that you can use.
I think speaking a little more directly to the current situation, though, is that it's just far easier for us to create adventuring content or create singular items and present them than it does, obviously, for trying to set it up as a proper tier 6 crafting and keeping the same sort of system that we had up to that point. It's just a really massive undertaking. So doing this will allow us to maybe then functionally go in and actually make a tier full flesh tier 6 crafting instead. Because that's essentially where those lockbox items or the raid gear items that are coming out are at in terms of power, and obviously we're not going to be able to keep up with crafting, but that's what we hope to address.
To follow her question, Fred, with the crafting piece, one of the things you listed on the slide was the continental effects and the idea that they would scale or be tiered. I think that's going to be a boost. The area that's the craft killer basically ties back to the station cash store where you buy bags and you buy a boat. So carpenters and outfitters are basically left doing very little in game, and they're the ones that are feeling the most pain. Your smiths and your minos are still fairly busy and doing stuff. And we're in a panel that I'll be having later this event. We're going to talk about that station cash store impact. And the thoughts that have been thrown at me from people contributing to that particular panel have been, if they got to make money on the station cash at the expense of the crafters, bring the crafters in on the deal. And what they're talking about, what the players are talking about that have led in this panel is make recipes purchasable. Player A can buy a recipe, give it to a crafter, say, make this for me. Make catalysts purchasable. Those types of things, to where you still get a station cash transaction, but now the crafter has something to do that benefits somebody in the game. So that's one of the subject areas that's going to be covered in that panel. The other, which is a little more esoteric, is crafters being able to make things and market them on the station cash market, which is very close to what you saw in the EQ Next presentation, is if you can make it, you can sell it. So, I can see a bridge being built, but because the hard part for you guys, as you've already said, is the recipes, then whatever you do to make that simple, let us know, and then once it's kind of in place, then we can talk about what to do with the recipes.
In addition, with the art pipeline being fully built and us able to put in things, we can now put in new assets or use existing assets and change their form from a static item to a housing item. So we can start to look at giving more items out that would make carpentry more interesting, because if we don't have new art assets, we can't give you a recipe that makes something new that doesn't exist. So you've seen the banners and the plushies and stuff. Those are things that we can now put into game, which we lacked the ability to before, which is part of the reason why we didn't.
Yeah. And on top of what these guys have said already, it's something that as a company we've definitely been trying to do. When we introduced the station cash store, we knew we'd have feasible to be purchased. What we've started doing in most of our games is figuring out what those sections of items are. Are they potions? Are they items that players can generate as well in game? And I think we're at a point now where we understand what we can put in the station cash store and what will keep exclusively to crafters. And with the crafting revamp and the things that we're looking at doing for crafters and diplomats in areas like Cape of Wonder, it's totally different than what you've seen before. So we're really trying to reincorporate the 3 spheres in the content that we do going forward now that we have the ability. So you might find, and not going too far out there, yeah, you know exactly what I'm gonna say. We've had discussions on you might find yourself in an event where you need a crafter to be a part of your raid in order to complete the object. So I'm talking about it a little more in depth, but yeah, these are these are things that we've definitely been talking about going forward with. So yeah, hopefully you guys will be very surprised and impressed by some of the stuff that you'll find sooner than later. Yeah.
I have a question. All the stuff that you guys are talking about doing sounds great. It's wonderful. You're working hard. And here you're preaching to the choir, of course. But even, I play EQ2 too. And I work with people. My company employs 550 teenagers from 16, well 15 actually, we try not to hire too many of those. From 15, people all the way up to college. And when I talk to them, a lot of them play games, Diablo 3, so forth and so on. If I mention Vanguard, EQ2, they say, what? Never heard of that. So, like I said, you're preaching to the choir here, and it's great. But if there is no way in the pipeline for SOE in general to let the public know about their games, then we're all here playing with the same 50 people. I mean, great people, maybe, probably so, because they stuck with it. But still the same 50 people. You see where I'm going?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that's part of my job with the things that we've been doing as of late. Last year, towards the end of last year, we launched on Steam. That is definitely a way we will reach the masses. And with some of the issues that we were still having in game, it didn't have quite the effect that we were hoping. But we will be updating and making sure that people are aware when we solve those issues. So I think we're getting close, and by polishing the earlier aspects of the game, as well as increasing the new content that we provide to people who may have played before and would give us a chance again, we're able to actually say, hey, look, these are the things that we've been working on, and this is something you might want to see. And there's always the Steam notices and the win backs and the opportunities to reach players through a wide variety, as I've mentioned. And that's something that we definitely do now and will continue to do when we feel more comfortable with the fact that we're able to give them the experience that we really think.
You don't want to get them in and have them be disappointed, I understand, but I'm just thinking long term here. If you don't get new people in, I mean, if there's not a plan coming down the pipeline to do that,
Well, yes.
no advertising, to be blunt, right?
Yes.
Then what good does it do us, But anyway.
And if you have a person who logs in and the starting zones are all empty and all the starting crafting stuff and such nobody cares about, then you just feel like you're playing by yourself.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why we have a limited number of starting zones, so that people, it doesn't take, if you have over 10 starting zones, you need a huge number of players playing concurrently for you to have a chance of ever seeing one. With a smaller amount, it takes much less people for you to have a chance of running into people. And just on Isle of Dawn, you'll see people all the time where if we had all the starting zones, you'd never see, there's large people who would never see another player for the first 10 or 20 levels. So
To that point, I would beef up the the inclination for people to choose Isle of Dawn for their first character, when you first present your choice, because they're presented as relatively equal. And I think the verbiage around that, if it helps them understand that Isle of Dawn will give them a richer, fuller understanding of the game before they go into a more mainland racial type environment. If more people choose there, I think they'll hit less frustration at the beginning. And then the other part that they bump into that they don't really understand till they're there is they can't leave until they're level such and such.
That's what
That's the way EQ2 had it for a long time.
You know, I tell people that if they're just coming back to the game and they're like, just coming back to the game, I don't get Diplo. Well, I Diplo in my sleep, right? It's just what I do. And I say, you know, I can put you in my event and I can walk you through it. I said, however, the best way to learn Diplo, just create you something, anything on the Isle of Dawn and just go through that quest. It will do a much better job of explaining every aspect of Diplo than I can. So, I mean, I think it's a great.
And I guarantee you that most of us sitting here probably have a full-time, living permanent character on Isle of Dawn to just help out. And then looking for quests, looking for group thing because it's global, we're now seeing people on Isle of Dawn that are asking for help. And we're able to log those over tunes on and give them some actual help.
Could you help out to Isle of Dawn maybe to help facilitate new people?
No.
No.
I like it because I have a lot of characters in the guild that I'd love to send items to.
Right.
Yeah, that,
You don't need it, you get out of balance.
It might be different nowadays, though.
High level stuff.
Well,
when they first-
mailbox, every other starter's on it.
When they first started Isle of Dawn, it was a standalone,
Yeah, I know.
so it didn't have all the database, so you could crash the Isle of Dawn by sending them. So it might be doable if it's not that entity anymore, but
You didn't know about that?
Yes, because it was a much smaller download. I feel like you only were getting those assets that were necessary for the trial, basically.
But it's not like that anymore, it's part of the full game.
Right.
What? Isle of Dawn?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It's
did.
still a separate server from the game. You can't see the chat.
No.
It used to be a standalone client that you could download that
Right.
was, I think, 1.8 gigs.
So if you managed to send someone a sword,
Right.
it would crash theirs.
Yeah, no, I understand that. No, I was just saying that the Isle of Dawn, I always thought was still a separate entity from
Yeah, it's
from the
that-
actual mainland.
That was, server side, it's just another chunk.
Right.
For our servers now. It used to be a little bit different.
Actually, tying it into the briefly chat cogen might be a good idea too. Bringing it more into the world so people feel like they're part of a world instead of alienated when they're starting an Isle of Dawn. Because when it was a trial, it was fantastic, but now it is supposed to be part of the main game.
Yeah, well, definitely writing that down. That's actually what we were talking about.
I just started yesterday.
Welcome to Vanguard.
I ran into people immediately. And I beta tested the game briefly. And then my game died 2 years ago. I was messing around. And I was talking to a couple of guys here. And I jumped into it. And I will tell you that starting experience is fun.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't lost, I wasn't confused. Diplomacy, it took that game we played today for me to get it.
Sadly, that's not an option for
live
everyone.
during the live quest, and then I finally went, oh my god. But the starting area for a new player, it's fine. I mean, my wife and I was on last night, played for 2 hours.
Well, I think it's true if you played it in an old.
Yeah, and that's another thing,
Yeah,
like,
but
we
if
actually,
you're coming out cold, you might have trouble.
we did some live play tests, right around the time that free to play came out. And we had a wide range of people who had played Vanguard before, people who had played MMOs but not Vanguard, and then some people who had never played them before. And they didn't do very well in the live play tests. And when we're trying to attract new people, it's a fine experience for someone who knows how to play an MMO and they understand these certain conventions. And we don't want to dumb it down to be absolutely, retarded and make people feel like it's very basic and simple, and it's, you know, kind of beneath them. But we also do have to be able to cater to players who may not know the basic mechanics of an MMO. So, kind of a balancing game that we have to play.
My gauge of success is if my 9-year-old daughter is having fun, then that's a good sign. But if she can do it without effort, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
I try to not jump in and help her and let her ask the questions and see what kind of questions she's asking. So she has 5 characters now, 4 of which are over level 20. She crafts, she does Diplo, she harvests for me.
Oh, that's what I'm looking
Now the reasoning comes out.
That's right.
But she does all those.
This is a question, Doc. The recalls on the house.
Yeah.
Now that the membership members have, basically you have 3 houses, a guild house, or if you, as long as you're not leader.
As
Is there any
many
way
as
to
there, yes.
separate those timers? You kind of gave us the option to have 2 houses, but you penalized us for being able to.
Guild has a lot of work to have to use the same timer as ours.
Sure. And so, like, technically, would it be difficult? Is that your question?
I'm just saying,
Or from a design perspective?
can we get them locked at a separate time?
Potentially. And you know, to get them to exist as the way they are, but on different timers, is that will require technical changes, like, you know, changes to the actual code. To simply put, like, it. The answer is,
Not the
I don't know.
recall.
It's possible.
Not, like I said, not the recall,
Right,
or
right.
the actual recasting time, that's fine, you know, that way it can't be exploited or however it is.
Right.
But if you've given me 2 houses, and the best example I give to, and I don't know how, in my job, I get sick leave. Used to be, if I took it, you gave it to me, but if I took it, you penalized me. But, so generally, that's the same thing that you're doing now. You gave me the option to be able to have a second house. But you've also penalized me from being able to go from this house to this house by using recall. So is there a way you can separate the timers so they're on it?
You could have recall the house 1, recall the house 2.
We can look into it. The answer is always, is it possible?
Right,
Yes.
right.
Is it fit for design? Bang for buck?
Right, so and that's what I was saying, if you could look at it to see if it's.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Okay, so I'll get in trouble if I don't ask this one. Somebody with the first initial of Z would like a torture chamber? Just saying. You can figure out who that is. Go for it. So I'm going to bring up the dreaded 4th lockbox that was with the banks. Is there any way that either, like as an account, you could have an account-bound box? So, for instance, you know, I have 3 characters, right? I could take anything that wasn't character-bound, like OGs, let's say, and put them in the box. And then any of my characters on that account could access that box and put in or pull out an OG. Because I know for a lot of us,
Bank sharing kind of stuff.
That's what
would
houses
have
offer.
just one.
Yeah, if you've got a guild box.
Yeah, so see, for me, you know, my house is the guild hall.
Yeah, but you
So-
can have a second house.
Yeah, but then I gotta craft the damn thing.
Yeah, but I have 5 houses in the guild hall under mine.
I just think it would really, for those of us that are pack rats and have those things, it would make getting things from one character to another much easier.
We've been looking at doing a bank revamp for
It's
a while.
4.5 pot to buy it on anyways, you know. Yeah. I see that guy advertising all the time. 1.5 if you have the mats.
You think I go?
We've been looking to do a bank revamp for a while, and it's something that we're going to do. It's just, and we just want to consider all of the things and fit it into our plan that we have moving forward. So that'll be probably, I mean, I assume it'll be another one of those things that we post on the forums to get you guys' feedback about. And I mean, at this point, I don't think that account access bank space is out of the question either, even if that's what you're
But we
But
discussed
it-
about
I mean,
removing
essentially,
from
that's what I'm
crafting,
asking
and you're
for,
just
is
taking
one
away a big
bank
piece of
box.
crafting. And
And,
some of the
you know,
very
make
people.
it a-
Sorry,
make
hold
it
on,
a-
hold on just a second.
Make it a perk, make that something that, you know, gold members get the full bank and, you know, the free-to-plays have just a smaller one like they now do now. You don't have to just restrict it to one or the other.
Yeah, right now, it just technically is not set up to be able to do that, so it requires, we can't just flip a flag and do it. We have to recode the system so that it can save in different ways to be able to do everything we want it to do. So it goes into the same work log of,
You could probably save, I don't know what happens on your database when people mail stuff, but I mean, there's times that I'll sit there on one tune and send like 50 mails. So, you know, if you could make that as mail more than one thing.
Yeah.
But that would be cool.
You know, it would save those, if we had that account box, it would save all those mail hits to the database too.
Yeah, but you just have a discussion about removing things from crafting and removing that ability. Having a house is how you share your items. Throwing it onto an account box removes another reason for crafters to build houses and boxes for people. Absolutely.
That's the only reason I have.
I'll still have.
That's the main reason I thought about that.
So the big issue that I've seen recently as a raid guild leader, we all talk, as a raid guild leaders talk to each other, and one thing that's come up over and over and over again, I'm sure you've seen, we talk about Cave of Wonders, and great, we're excited about that. But what the game desperately needs for our end of the game is a progressive dungeon like APW used to be when it first came in, or what it still is for
48 to 50.
We've got to have revitalized raids that provide something for the lower tier raid guilds all the way up to the top tier raid guilds and keep us busy. We've got to have it. Otherwise, you know, we're bleeding players. Every one of the raid guilds is bleeding players. You know, people just, you know, our standard right now, and I'm sure that the other guys would say the same thing, is we manage to retain maybe 10% of the people we recruit. We recruit 10 people and we keep one. The other 9 people, they stay in guilds, they just don't bother logging in.
But those aren't raiders, those are new players.
No, those are raiders.
We're losing, I did the math
There's
on this
no-
last week, we've lost 20% of our raid force in the last 2 months.
Yes.
Yeah, I've lost about, in the last 6 months since Brains and Bond's been around, I've recruited about 125 people. And of those 125 people, I have less than 20. And those aren't raiders, those are new people.
so Cave of Wonders is going to be progressive rating. And we've talked about multiple ways of how we can get the best bang for our buck so that we want to be able to make content that is harder for the people who want it harder and easier for the people who want it easier, with appropriate rewards assigned. So so Cave of Wonders is raids, gonna start fairly easy, get fairly difficult. We've talked internally about ways that we want to handle it so that it can get significantly harder for people who want it to get harder. And that is the target audience. It's the same basic idea of what APW is. You walk in, first guy, if you're a good raid force, not too hard, so that everyone can get through the entry, but then you'll have to work really hard to fight further in.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be a cohesive unit to do it.
Yeah, and it's actually laid out in a way that makes sense for something like that. Like, I don't know how much time any of you guys have actually spent down in there. I know some of you have managed to get in over the years.
Never do that.
But yeah, it's laid out like there's like one main hall that's pretty long, and then there's a couple like auxiliary wings, and then ultimately like a fourth area to access. So it's laid out in a way that actually would make very good sense for the person.
So you'll see a wide variety of difficulty as you walk in, and it'll get as hard as we can make it. Effectively, we want